Oh, here we go. Okay. It's got a nice big foyer with nice tall ceilings. Most of the buildings that you've come across in Sandpoint are, relatively plain. This one is clearly, not quite opulent, but as far as Sandpoint standards is concerned, would be considered opulent. Nice intricate carvings in the wood. Most of them have, flowers and vines and things of that nature that kind of go throughout the entire house, or at least the area that you can see. The doors are clearly, thick, large doors that are made for both to impress guests and for security. You note that the front doors especially have, rather large locking mechanism bar that goes down over them, which is it's the first time you've ever seen anything like that. The garrison doesn't even have that in town. Um, and there's two fireplaces sort of in this central room that keep it nice and toasty. There's a door off to the left and the right and the back of the room as well, to where this is clearly sort of like the central hub of the home. There's some nice seating chairs, some couches, several bookshelves line the room. Aldrin, you know, has welcomes you to sit down, find a seat. Somebody will be out shortly with some refreshments. He would like to, he's going to take the boar into the kitchen to begin, preparations, to give instructions to the chefs, essentially, to as to how he would like it prepared, and that he will return shortly. But make yourself at home. Those of you who are already here, the front doors remain open, and several minutes later, well, not even several minutes, several seconds later, your friends are escorted in. So at this point, everybody's here. Uh, Once everybody's here, the doors are closed, and the window there's still windows to the outside that are open, meaning that they're not you can see that there's like curtains and stuff, but those are uh, you know uh, uh, pulled off to the side. The cloth of the curtains again seems extravagant for a city of this size. And yeah, so then you can hear sort of some there's clearly some activity that's going on behind all the doors, the three doors that lead to the rest of the house. But you can't necessarily make out anything that's being said.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second. Is it just us in there, or are there other people mingling?
It is just you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go say hi to Aldern. He's here, right?
But he has stepped away
Okay.
to give the chefs. He's told you he stepped away to give the chefs instructions on how he would like the board to be prepared.
Okay. I must have missed that. I'm sorry. Um, then I'm gonna say hi to my friends and look at their bandages and be like, "Oh, did a bunch of boars best you?"
Nope, it was just one very angry one.
It was a massive boar. Is it the boar that you fought was probably the size of a, I mean, almost a, like a miniature pony type of situation. It was a real big boy. So
I guess we'll be eating well tonight then.
yeah, it's gonna have no problem feeding all of you. Anybody else?
I'm gonna wander around and take a closer look at my surroundings.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that I'm doing anything, but I might be looking if there's anything really expensive and small sitting around for
Sure.
no particular reason.
Oh dear.
Yeah, no. So there's
great.
Oh dear.
to go into more detail as far as the room is concerned, sort of as you walk around, it's a sizable room, and it feels bigger than what it actually is from a dimension standpoint because all of the furniture is kind of it almost seems like it's peculiar because the furniture seems like it was custom made specifically for this room in terms of dimensions, right? To really make the room feel bigger than what it is. There are a fair amount of end tables and what do they call them? Hallway tables that kind of line some of the walls as well. Every single sort of inch of the hall or the walls have either a bookshelf or a piece of art or something that's being displayed. Several of the wall tables, so the little half tables, right? That you know
You
what I'm
mean
talking
console
about, where
table?
it's like, what's that?
You mean a console table?
Sure. It's basically, almost a countertop height table that is
It's like a
only
really shallow table.
shallow. Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
a console table.
Yeah. So there are several of those around the room that have what you would consider to be small trophies of various types of hunts, right? There's also there's a bear bust that's mounted on the wall, and it's interesting because it's rather than just being the head of the bear, you have sort of the neck and head of the bear kind of coming out of the wall, and then on either side.
Does this offend Forrest when he sees it?
Well, and then on either side of it, there's claws. It's sort of like an attack mode, right? So it's been taxidermied to very much look like it's coming out of the wall type of situation. And then opposite that is a magnificent elk that's been mounted as well. Those are over the two fireplaces. There is, plenty of things on the small tables that you would be able to, palm if you wanted to. From the looks of it, it's literally just your group inside.
Just steal a painting.
Oh, I want to steal the bear head. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
No.
you gotta climb the wall first.
I would like to give Cadence guidance.
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
I'm not taking anything. I'm just kind of looking
the
around.
Books, interestingly enough, seem to be
Yes.
largely history and or geography books. There's definitely they're almost all nonfiction novels. Several of them appear to just be, maps, or books of maps, things like that.
Are there signs that there are a lot of servants around? I don't know if there's any like coming in and out of the room.
Again, you can hear activity kind of coming from all the walls as you kind of make your way around. But, you've only ever seen one or two at a time.
It's the same, two servants, just in different disguises.
Oh.
Also, I heard a cat. Does he have a cat?
I did hear a cat.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I mean, you hear something that sounds like a cat, but you don't. Right now, you don't see one.
It's a fake cat.
One of the servants is in a corner just making meowing noise.
It's a very loud cat.
Cat girl by chance?
Ishtola comes through the doors
Oh, it's a crossover
in a
then.
maid's outfit. Yeah.
I finally have my shot.
Say, all of a sudden, Damage unmutes
Too
himself
far.
and perks up really quickly.
Too far.
Oh no.
Oh god.
I can just see Forrest rip his shirt off. He's just like, oh, yes, indeed.
He's technically still shirtless.
I have been waiting this moment for the last 7 years. Yeah, exactly.
I'll be
no,
your little son.
right. Oh my God, no. Okay.
Little son.
So that's what you see.
I'm just gonna keep like admiring the room and just waiting for
Okay.
him to come back.
You want to open any of the drawers, or do you want to like what are you?
I'm not being that nosy right now.
Okay.
Wait, we're all inside?
You are all inside.
Could I peruse the books and see if there's any that are interesting about like legends or anything like that?
Okay.
Legends, you say?
Like
no,
legend.
no, not like that.
When you
Like
say
that
Okay.
seem to be talking about like fantastical creatures or anything
sure.
in that realm.
Sure. So specifically, like beasts and creatures. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, or like about gods or anything that's about like the extraordinary.
Okay, supernatural.
Yeah, does anything like pop
Okay, so
out
you
to
can
me?
give me an occultism, nature, or arcana check, or all three.
All three.
Added together?
No, I'm not going to add them together. These are
They would be separate
interdependent
checks.
rolls. Yep.
I rolled
I-
one too.
I see the one. That's the only one that you're looking for then? I know that you're excited because that's a big number, but
What was it was arcane nature was the
nature
last
and
one.
arcana. Yeah. Okay.
Big number.
All right. So you're able to identify that there's at least a couple books that are that appear to be sort of catalogs of animals. Nothing appears to be magical by any means, or anything. Nothing appears to touch on like spell casting, if you will. Right? There doesn't appear none of that stuff appears to be, at least in this room. There are a couple that seem, there's one particular title that seems kind of interesting, which is The Extinct Races of Eresia. That's about like the closest thing to anything that would be potentially magical, that piques your interest. You do find one book that seems slightly out of place that isn't talking about geography and/or it's not talking about geography or beasts or animals, right, or biology, and it is talking about the various ways. It's actually it's like a botany book that's talking about mold, essentially.
A book about mold.
Yep.
Does
fungus, mold, that kind of stuff.
why does it seem out of place to me?
Well, because everything else is, again, talking about either, animals or geography.
Do I
It's the
see?
only one that's not talking about those two things.
Oh, I see. Okay. Are we being watched? Can I tell if we're being watched?
All of the doors are closed. There are two windows to the front of the room that lead out into the streets. So, there are normal street activity is happening. It is, at this point, it's mid to late afternoon, maybe even early evening. So there are, the streets are active, but you don't see anybody peering through a window, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. Can I read one of the second book about the different creatures? I think you said.
Well, there's one that's the extinct creatures. It's like a catalog
Yeah.
of this. Okay.
That one.
So you're gonna pull a book off the shelf, and begin reading it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, trying not to drag any attention. So, I guess in a stealthy way.
Are you trying to prevent your companions from seeing that you've taken a book off the bookshelf?
No, I just don't want to do it in like a super loud way where like the people that invited us in are gonna like make it think that I'm like trying to make a big thing out of it. I just wanted to read it.
You're
Rose
not gonna-
crouches and pulls the book.
So you're not going to take the book, slam it on the ground, and begin doing slam poetry?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Sure. You're going to read quietly as opposed to out loud. Got it.
I don't know. Yes.
All right, go ahead and give me a stealth roll.
Imagine if this one failed.
Yeah.
All you're doing is picking up a book and reading it. What's the problem?
Well, the guy doesn't like me, so I don't want to drag any more attention. I just want to read the book.
Hold on for just a second. Okay, so you reach up, you kind of look around, almost like your companions are, potential predators, and you're able to slowly take your index finger and your thumb, and very carefully, almost like you're playing Operation, take the binding of the book and slowly pull it across the bookshelf, and then
Can I
you're able.
perception check to see if I can notice her doing something really weird?
Certainly, yes. She has her back to you currently. You are too busy looking at everything else that's catching your eye and a fancy here. You
Yeah.
notice absolutely nothing. So you continue to pull the book forward and kind of set it down, and you begin leafing through it. What are you looking for specifically? Do you want me to describe the book to you?
Mm,
Well, let me give you a brief description, and then you can decide how you want to proceed. How's that sound?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So you do notice that this book is worn, right? It has a fair bit of usage to it, but the outside cover is quite beautiful. It appears to be made of some sort of leathery material, but it is smooth and soft to the touch. The corners of it are a bit, frayed and or warped, again from regular use. Um, and when you open it, right, the first sort of page that you can see that it's actually almost an art book, right? In terms of there's a high degree of filigree and ornate decoration on the glossary page, and there's just a list there, kind of breaks things down into like four-legged beasts, and then there's also, so there's two sort of main sets of the glossary. It's the by beast type glossary, and then there's the by location glossary, right? To where they're able to sort of cross index each other, and you can look up things either way.
Is there a way to do I find any that seem to have become extinct from extraordinary means that are not based of just natural like nature reasons?
Well, you would need to read the book.
Yes. Can I spend time reading the book then?
How much time would you like to spend reading the book?
As much as I can until we get pulled away, I guess.
Okay, and so what is the plan for when somebody enters the room?
I'll keep reading.
Okay, so you're gonna continue reading while okay, all right.
Only if we all have to leave or something, then she'll put the book down.
But if somebody comes into the room, you're not gonna attempt to, slam the book shut, put it back into the bookshelf type of situation. You're fine being caught reading this book, is my point.
Would she be fine?
Would she be? I don't know. It's a book, and you weren't told not to touch anything.
I don't think she would do that. I think she would just keep reading it.
Okay. So is there a place that you want to start, or you just want to start at the beginning and start reading? Are you like, how much time? I mean, it's a big book, right? With, quite fine print. It would, this is a book that would take several hours to finish. It's pretty clear that you don't have that kind of time.
Maybe I would like skim through it because you said there were pictures in the book.
Yeah, there's all sorts of it is clearly an illustrated piece. Most of the entries have both a sort of artist rendering as well as what you would find potentially even in like a biology book, as far as some diagrams and things like that.
if there's any creatures that seem to stand out to me, or that that seem to stand out to Rose specifically, maybe I'd spend more time on those pages reading through it. But I maybe will be skimming a bit more, trying to get through it as much as I can, just looking for reasons of extinction, and if any are outside of just natural means, or more like extraordinary reasons why they went extinct.
Would Forrest be able to tell what this book is from
Has
like
Forrest
the
ever
outside?
seen a book
Can
before
Forrest
today?
read?
Forrest can read.
Okay. I don't know if you've
Druids
seen a
aren't
book.
barbarians.
Right. I don't know if you've ever seen a book before.
Yes, he has.
Okay. Well, first of all, you don't know that she's reading it. Second of
Okay.
all, I don't know is the short question, is the short answer, right? When you say like what kind of book it is, I mean the book is as I've described it. I don't know, whether or not Forrest would be able to determine. I mean, it is labeled as such, right? It's not like there's some sort of cryptography involved or anything like that. It seems like more of a scholarly piece than it's not a cipher, from what you can tell. So, Mar, I'm sorry, Rose, you're gonna have to give me a better idea of what an animal that would be of interest to Rose it means, because I want to
Something
make sure.
something that she's seen before in her past, or
Okay,
around the area that she's kind of grown up in.
sure. There's all sorts of animals in it that look familiar but aren't exact representations of animals that you might be familiar with. Some of the beasts do look absolutely magnificent, and there are amazing pictures of these massive beasts that seem taller than buildings, and just absolutely magnificent. You've never seen anything like them at all. And you kind of are curious about those things, and so you read a little bit deeper, and you can see that go ahead and give me another nature check. Okay. The evidence sort of supporting that these things actually existed is not completely robust. Certainly there's not as much detail in these entries as there are in some of the other ones. You do see things that look almost humanoid. And those kind of, catch your eye particularly because, again, these are large. I don't know if Rose is familiar with, what a giant would be. But there's definitely several sort of giant-esque, including, large apes that are, stand 30 feet tall, that kind of stuff. That there's one in particular that does seem, particularly fantastical. It's basically an incredibly large ape type creature that lived in the mountains, like up in the snow, essentially. Massive fangs, but rather than having like normal primate hands, the all of the fingers were sort of had razor sharp claws and things like that. Real nasty thing. But all of the supplementary artwork on those are more artist rendering, and no like diagrams or any sort of physical evidence or anything like that.
Okay.
It's a
Okay, got it.
fascinating book. There's several that talk about natural extinctions, either that they were killed by predators, or they overhunted their prey, or there's some that several of them talk about sort of something happened to the environment that led to a change, whether it was a volcano erupting or a flood or whatever, right? So there's lots of that. There's maybe one out of every 6 or 7 talks about, being hunted to extinction.
Okay. I'll just keep reading the book and just doing that.
Okay. Anybody else?
You
Um,
said there were maps in the room, right?
There are books that are large folios of maps, essentially. Yes.
Can I take a look for a map of Varisia?
Sure. So you're looking for a folio that's labeled specifically "Map of Varisia"?
Well, I'm just trying to find something that might have my hometown. Like, not my hometown, but like, I'm trying to figure out how far I am from home.
Got it. So yeah, so you're able to. Do you actually know where you're from yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's some. These are all again very well labeled. And there's one that basically talks about the area that you're in. So let me pull that up. And that would be the handout that was shared and then got taken away. I can reshare that, even though you guys all screenshotted it like a bunch of cheaters. So let me see. Cheater McGeeters.
Hey, I didn't do that.
So, like I whispered to you, just to clarify, I checked my notes.
I saw that.
Forrest does not actually know how to read very well,
Okay.
but he does know of books.
He knows
He
that
knows
there are
what
these
books are.
magical things between two covers. Got it.
Yes.
Where would that be at?
He just doesn't know how to read very well. And
Uh,
also, just to clarify, you said Forrest. You said that Mars reading this book, but is hiding it.
He is
So-
trying to be stealthy in her reading of it. Yes. Now, after 5 minutes of reading it, I think she's there's only so much she can do to hide the fact that she's reading it.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
So
So
could
I
I come up and like see that she's looking at pictures of animals and
so,
I don't know, over the shoulder?
um. So let's see here. Is this? If you want to be nosy
I want to be nosy.
and go. So okay. So what I would say, I'm gonna share this handout. This is a big. I don't know. I don't know if I should share this or not. Yeah, I don't think so. Just I'm worried that if I because there's a lot of text here, so just don't read the text what I'm about to show you. You can definitely look at the map though.
It's a good thing Forrest can't read.
Right. So there's a Varisia Cradle of Legends handout that I should have just shared with everybody.
Yep.
And that's the map that you find that's sort of like it's not like a total map of the entire all of Philozia or whatever it's called, right? I don't know what but this is sort of like the biggest map that's both covers an area that you recognize, being Sandpoint. You are able to see that if you look to the northwest, you notice the island, and this is just Danny right now, right? You do notice an island that looks similar to the one that you came from, and you see that archipelago that kind of leads down, or that you were attempting to follow prior to the attack and the storm that swept you away. You see Sandpoint, and then you see sort of the rest of the area. You can identify some of those forests there. But it gives you Conqueror's Bay. Most people who are are basically from this side of the world would know that I believe Conqueror's Bay is the bay in which Absalom is located, which is sort of like but let me double check that real quick.
Ah, geography.
I love it.
Yes.
Better than geometry, right, Mar?
Well, Ma has cleared an ultimate fight and you haven't at this point,
Oh
so.
damn!
Oh.
Shots fired.
Oh,
God.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Thanks, yeah.
I need
So
Mar's
hold
help
on,
with
let
you,
me.
Cub.
No, it's the inner sea. Okay, so that's not where I thought it was. So let me see if I can figure out where this is in reference to where you guys. One. Okay, that was interesting noise. So it's in the inner sea region. Chillax, man. Iskar. Huh. Give me just a second. I'm trying to find like the whole map to where I'm going to be able to give you. There used to be an interactive. Here we go. Map of Orin. Yeah, so this is Varizia, but that doesn't give me. All right, here we go. So I believe we are in Avestan. Yes. So let's see here. Map of Valoran. Yes, so that is the inner sea. Okay. So I believe that's correct. Yeah. So I believe the inner sea is down below Conqueror's Bay there, which is where you would find Absalom, which is sort of like the biggest city that anybody here would be aware of. I think that's right. I'm having difficulty finding a map that has both sort of the Lost Coast. So let's see. Apparently there's a place in the real world called Lost Coast, so that sucks.
Just pretend it's the. Just use the real location as a guideline for the
Right.
in-game location.
So, okay. Ha! That's funny. Somebody's actually asking the question how long it would take. Yeah, there you go. So the problem is I don't think we're in. Oh, okay, all right. So you're in. Yeah, this will work. So you're actually in the upper part there, just south of the Saga lands, and then you'd have to go through all of old Chillax, and then Absalom would be way over there. But the map that you're seeing is actually that upper left-hand portion.
Should I
You can
just
see
link
it's.
this and
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I thought that
it
you had
the,
linked that into the general one.
there you go.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So
Oh,
basically, you're up
big
in
map.
Varizia, which is in the northwestern part. So you're quite a bit away from Absalom. I mean, it's a long trip through all of old Chiliax.
Chiliax.
Yeah. Or you could go through the Eye of Dread and the Shining Kingdoms, but yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh hey, I have
But
dread.
that's what you have to understand. This is just a section of one of the many what's it called? Continents of Galorion. Or I guess of yeah.
Yeah, this is just the inner sea region.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of inner sea region is probably the but it's a massive. So I don't know where everybody's from. but gives you an idea of sort of where you are currently. So yeah, so you're able to find that. Get an idea of how
Okay.
far away from home you are.
Not that far.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Anybody else? And then I will.
Where is this map? Is it like very obvious? It's like on the wall or something?
No, it's in a folio. So she's Danny's gone over and picked up one of the larger books in the entire room, right? And this one, there's no stealthiness in this one, right? She's taken it and plopped it on the floor probably and began kind of flipping through it, and it's just map after map after map.
This book is probably as big as I am.
Yeah, it's probably it's probably 2 feet tall by,
I'm
maybe
2 feet
3
tall.
feet tall by 2 feet wide. Some
Oh,
of the
it's bigger
maps
than
are
me.
Yeah, some of the maps are single pages. Others, are sort of double wides, where it takes up both the left and the right hand side of the book.
Okay. Danny's just gonna she finds the Verecia map and she's gonna kind of have her finger follow along and then kind of look at the river going between home and Sandpoint and just kind of mutter to herself.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great. I don't know if I necessarily want this shared with everybody, Rakana. But it's actually, I don't know. Does it? It does take you to a. Okay. So, the only problem with this is that it does take you to Wikipedia entries.
Yeah,
for
I'm not going to poke
places.
around too much.
Yeah, but it's the truth is that the book that Danny's looking through, you could piece together all of this if you had enough time, right? But basically, that you are far west from Numeria. What is that? Ustalav. Again, west of Balkazine, south of the realm of the Mammoth Lords. You would hope so, because if you were north of the realm of the Mammoth Lords, you'd be pretty cold. For those of you that played Kingmaker, Brevoy is, several sort of city states to the east of where you are right now. I believe most of Kingmaker takes place in Numeria, though I could with that in that general area. Oh, Mendev, there you go.
No,
like-
isn't that the Riverland stuff on the map?
I think it's around the River
Riverlands?
Kingdoms.
Yeah,
Yes.
River Kingdoms. Yeah,
Yes, the River Kingdoms. That is correct. Yeah. But some of these places you might recognize. I believe, is it on the map that was shared here? Hold on. Yeah, the Broken Lands, I believe, is where Wrath of the Righteous takes place. But I'm not 100% positive about that.
That big
it definitely
Thrandra's
is.
scar up there, that's the
Yeah.
wolf wound
Yep.
from
Yeah, that
Wrath of
there's
the Righteous.
Threshold is or Canabras is actually on the map that the Google map that you linked me. So, and Dresden is as well. So yeah, so the Sarkorius Scar is where Wrath of the Righteous takes place in the Broken. So
Doesn't
you guys
sound
are
ominous at all.
what's that?
Doesn't sound ominous at all.
Right, exactly. Well, it's quite ominous. Yeah. I don't understand why the entire world isn't up there fighting the battle, but that's a different story for a different time. So anyway,
The world's
so that's
too goddamn big.
Sure. So that's where you're at. You're at this little sand point in the southwestern portion of Varizia. You've got Magnamar to your south. You've got several different towns and ports. Riddleport to the north. Let's see how big Riddleport is. I mean, but Riddleport's 13,000 people versus Magnamar has 16,000 people. So these are these are pittance of towns compared to something like Absalom, but also 10 times the size of the town that you're currently in.
Wait, you said they have like 16,000. Does that mean Sandpoint has 1,600 people?
Sandpoint has about 1,300, if I recall. 1,200, 1,240.
It's a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent sized town. But that's a, a village, an actual factual town having that number of people would be almost, you could go through it very easily in the real world and not even know, it's a one stop or one light town.
One street.
Yeah.
One street town.
Interesting.
I mean, Dallas has like 5 million people or something like that. And that's a lot compared to 1,200.
Hell, I'm pretty sure my town is at least 10 times as many people as this place we're in.
Where I grew up, which is maybe a half hour north of where I live currently, was considered a village and had less than 1,000 people.
Yeah, that's a small town. Yeah.
It was a very small town.
Yeah.
Why is that one place called the Impossible Lands?
Yeah, you want to head there? Just get a boat.
I'm interested.
Take
but
a
why
boat
is
and
it? Why is it called that?
Why is it called that? I don't know. There's
Yeah.
a place called the Mana Wastes. So
That sounds cool too.
Why it's called the Impossible Lands, I'm not sure. I just have to imagine that it's very difficult to traverse.
We
It's
should
the
also
Grand
check
Line.
out. We should
It's where
also
you
check
want to
out.
go if you want to recreate One Piece.
We should also check out the Isle of Terror in the Eye of Dread.
I love it. I love it. These definitely sound like level 2 encounters to me.
I mean,
For
going
sure.
to the Eye of Dread would be essentially going back to Cal's home.
Oh, nice. So we'll be warm welcome there.
It's like, go to Usula, that's where Cal's from.
Huh.
Do you guys are you all, so I guess from a role playing perspective, are you all sort of hovered over this this map right now where you're looking at things, and are you sharing with each other?
Sure, but I probably
locations?
wouldn't know anything about this place.
Forrest would have no interest in the map. He's very focused on the pages that Mars turning, trying to look at the
Keep
pictures
good
and
look around the room for anything that's technology or any books about technology or crafting or dragons if there's anything.
Dragons, you don't find anything about dragons. You definitely see that there's a small bookshelf that's next to one of the fireplaces, kind of like right next to one of the seating chairs, that is almost completely dedicated to alchemy and sort of like sciencey stuff, right? And it's just some of it's very fringed, some of it is clearly borderline, sort of like the things that skirt the line between what would be considered science and magic. And there's probably half a dozen or so books that definitely cover that.
Yeah,
just a second.
Gip would start reading anything there with alchemy, magic, crafting, some book like that.
There's like I said, it's primarily one of these what's it called, half dozen books or so would definitely qualify for that.
Yeah, then I roll a d12 and take one of them and start reading.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
No, just general knowledge. If it's fire, it's a plus.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely is there and exists. So you'll be able to pass the time with no problem with that.
Yeah, I think I'm looking over the maps too, but not recognizing any of it.
Are any of you going to share with each other any information about yourself or what you would know about the map or anything like that?
I don't think so, because I don't recognize names. I think a lot of the names that I know were probably called different things because they're in the work language.
Okay.
Besides, like, Andoran.
I'm gonna point. Danny's gonna point to Sandpoint, and then she's gonna point to Nybor and say, "They certainly didn't go far for me. How big of a reach do you think these people have? The ones that took us?"
You're saying that to whom? Just
To
to
the
the
other.
group?
I'm just
Okay.
kind of like whispering it to the other people next to the map because I don't want any like maids or anything to hear me.
Cal would be there looking at the book, if nothing, just to determine exactly how far away he is from home, quote unquote. I don't know exactly where they picked me up from, but I'm from here, and I just kind of point toward Ustalov.
Is that on the Varisia map or the bigger map?
Big map.
I was around here, and I'll point to Andoran. And I know Lucian said that he was from that area too. It's a long ways.
So this isn't some small town organization then.
I'm gonna let you guys talk. I'll be back in just a minute.
It does not seem small at all.
Damage, you probably saw a picture of something that looked similar, but I don't know whether or not you would have seen the thing that they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. Like why they would be in an area that you would be in, it would be tough to tell because you're more than welcome to look that up and kind of familiarize damage with it, but obviously Forrest would not, have that information, right? You might have some, but not
Okay.
all. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me do some research real quick then.
And I'll be right back.
All right.
So are the people like sharing where they're from right now? Do you want to just put it in the PC document or? Because if it's group information, that's up to y'all, I guess. But
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
yeah, since I made a point of saying mine out loud, I'm gonna put it in there. It's not like it's a secret where I'm from or anything.
Well, I already shared mine last week. Although I didn't
Just
actually name it last week.
put under Blondie, out of this world.
Pretty much.
Extraterrestrial.
Well, I think it's still terrestrial.
We don't know.
Blondie's an alien confirmed.
I don't know if it's called an alien, if it's from a different world. Like, a different planet maybe, but like a different version of the same world. I don't know.
Shiam.
What's up?
I guess this is actually all of you. After 15 or 20 minutes of being left here sort of to yourself, a door does open, and a servant that you've not seen yet does come in, comes up to you, specifically comes up to Blondie, and bends down, gets down close to your level, and says, "The master would like to know if you have any special dietary needs or restrictions."
I say no. I can eat anything that ordinary humans can.
Okay. Do you have any flavors that you prefer?
I haven't really thought about that.
Drinks,
Something
You know,
strong.
food.
I'll tell him that I
do
like
you like
sweet things.
sweet things? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. They kind of nod. They look
I'm
around.
gonna.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I'm gonna ask the servant for a bit of raw meat for my corgi friend. Who is
They kind of
attacked
look
at
at you. They look at your the animal. A fleeting look kind of passes their face, and then they nod and they say, "Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do."
If
And then,
if the
go ahead.
corgi is here, is the bear also here?
No.
I also left the snake at the inn, by the way.
That was my
in our
second
room.
question.
The snake is not here.
Fucking menagerie inside the reading room.
Yep.
The snake's like climbing up on the shelves, knocking books down, and the bear's
You joke, but my
pets
snake
are on
IRL
fire.
does that.
Right. No, I'm
He crawls around and knocks stuff off my shelves, and I'm like, you little fucker.
So with that, the servant does kind of look at all of you. And then, turns around and leaves.
Who is the one who looks the most injured, by the way?
Probably between Gib and Cal.
I'm pretty injured.
I'd probably have healed you all by now.
Yeah, I guess I operated under the assumption that Blondie was gonna do a 3.
Say less.
No, I wouldn't need to. I can just use focus spells. At level 2, I've got lay on hands, so I can heal people. As long as I've got 10 minutes, I don't actually use up a spell slot.
Okay.
It would take like 10 minutes per heal, so it would take like half an hour maybe.
Well, between the ride home and then the time that you've had here, I would assume that everybody's at full health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask them how they managed to get so hurt boar hunting, but I guess if I can't tell they're hurt, then
Well, they still have bloody clothes and stuff, I'm sure.
You may have seen
yeah, I suppose that's right.
You may have seen Blondie, patching up some last wounds here. Anybody else want to do any more perusing and/or thievery? Danny, you're not doing a very good job of role-playing Queso because he would have tried to nick at least 3 or 4 things at this point, but that's okay.
Wait, what? I'm role playing Queso?
Or no, I'm sorry, Daisy. I
wow.
meant Daisy, not Danny. Sorry.
He
I
he already did that. He was just so stealthy he didn't notice.
Right. Damage, you were gonna say?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Won't
You're
be
trying
good
to take
until
the
you
bear
steal
down?
stuff.
Does he have any books about orcs?
About orcs?
Yeah.
Let me find out. Second. Wow. He most certainly does. He
Well,
actually
he
has
did learn it.
he has a compendium called The Entire History of Orc Kind.
Goddamn.
It's one of the
Nerd.
biggest books in the entire in this entire library.
Oh no, Ricardo, you better be careful.
Mar, are you still reading this book at this point?
Well, he said it would take me several hours, so I would assume yes.
If you wanted to read it front to back, yes, it would take several hours to get through.
Oh, I would only read it through like what you had described of what.
Sure, I mean you find all sorts of interesting stuff in it. But hold on before we and I'll come back to you in just a second. But Rakana, I mean, it is a massive book.
Yeah. I'll open it up. I'm kind of curious, like how recent it gets to.
you're kind of curious as to how recent it gets. What? I'm sorry.
It gets
Oh, like
like
the so you open the book, right? And it goes back to essentially like how orcs came into existence, right? It has, several different theories is kind of like where it starts. And after you kind of peruse that first beginning where you're like, oh man, this really, they're not joking here. And you leaf to the back of it and you realize that the last, quarter of the book is actually blank pages. And then but what's interesting is it's not handwritten. There it is printed material, right? This wasn't a scribed book. This is clearly a book that has been printed. And then you kind of, as you flip backwards to the most recent, basically where there is a printed page, right? You sit there and it's talking about whatever the most recent, orc, what's it called? Conflict between two tribes type of situation. And then to your amazement, you watch as that you're kind of like reading this on the left hand side, and to your amazement, you watch as the right hand side of the book begins to fill in with text in terms of an update for that particular conflict, talking about how one of the tribes is managed to gain the upper hand in a battle that took place. And again, based on the fact that it's essentially the fall of the year. What did we decide it was? 4207 or something like that. It's like a battle that happened recently, like within the last couple of months, and you're sitting there watching as the page sort of fills itself in.
She slams the book closed. That is spooky as fuck, and she'll put it away and not touch it again.
So everybody's kind of startled as Rakana has taken this book and with all of her might slams it shut, and it makes a big thud, and then kind of, and the activity that you hear in the rest of the house kind of stops for a second and then starts back up again. And she kind of pushes the book into the back into the shelf and steps, takes a couple steps back.
Danny's gonna walk over, and can I see which book it was she just put in?
Yeah,
back on the shelf.
It's massive. Like there was no hiding it for sure.